Starting with Ronald Acuña Jr., he's sitting on 21 home runs, 41 stolen bases through 89 games. That puts him on pace for high 30s as far as home runs. He did really turn it on as we got late in the second or late in the first half here as far as power. Nobody's even had a 30 homer, 70 steal season before. So even to get to that would be pretty amazing. 40-40, there's still a chance he could do that. There's only been four members of that club in history: Jose Canseco, Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Alfonso Soriano. We talked about that recently in one of our trivia episodes. So what do you think? 40-40, is it could it happen? I mean, he already has the 40 steals. He just needs 19 home runs. But 30-70 would still be pretty amazing too.
Yeah, he's going to end up with a season nobody's done before. I come back to what Eric Davis did early in his career in the 80s. 27 home runs and 80 stolen bases in his first full season. That was 132 games. The crime of Eric Davis is he could never play a full season. He was always playing 130 games, 115 games, 90 games. He missed some full seasons. Acuña, I think one thing about Acuña is that he wants to run, and he's still at an age where it makes sense, and it's a high percentage thing. He gets the extra volume of batting leadoff. If he's within hailing distance of a 40-80 season, I think the steals he can get him if he wants them. It's just a matter of you can try harder to steal bases and steal bases. You can't really try harder to hit home runs and hit home runs. It doesn't really work that way. I think at the end of the season, he's gonna have the first 35-80 season we've ever. I think nobody's ever done that, and he'll be the first. And obviously, no doubt, barring an injury, and God, I hope that doesn't happen to Ronald Acuña Jr., he will be the the winner of the lottery who gets the number one pick will in 3 seconds pick Ronald Acuña Jr. in every draft. I'm stating the obvious. The debate will be, who do you take at the 2 spot, and do you feel cheated that you pick second and you don't get a chance at Acuña? It's another reason to have a salary cap league where every player can be on your roster. But Acuña, in a year where there's been so many stars, and the only thing that's keeping Ohtani away from the number one pick is that in Yahoo we split him hitter and pitcher. Obviously, if you got all of Ohtani, he'd be in a class of his own. But I don't know who the number 2 pick is next year. It's going to be Acuña at 1, and I'm putting him down for 35-80.
Yeah, so you look at sort of the comps in history. You mentioned Eric Davis. Ricky Henderson had a 28 homer, 87 steal season in 1986. Henderson had 24 homers, 80 steals in 1985. Joe Morgan actually had a couple of seasons in that ballpark too, as far as power, speed, combo. But otherwise, just not much close. Like we were saying, if he goes 30 homer, 70 steal, that's never been done. He's already within spitting distance of a season we've never seen before. So we got to appreciate that, even if he doesn't get the 40 home runs, I think.
Yeah, Ricky should have had more than one MVP. I don't mean to ruffle the feathers of Joe Sheehan, who was a huge Don Mattingly fan, but Ricky Henderson was the best player in the American League in 1985. It's just the writers worshipped at the altar of the RBI back then. Not that Mattingly wasn't tremendous, but Henderson was more valuable and was oddly slightly underrated his entire career. And Joe Morgan, it snuck up on everybody because Pete Rose was the face of the Reds and Johnny Bench was a multiple MVP winner. But Joe Morgan was, by the end of the 70s, accepted as the best player in baseball for that decade, and a guy who wasn't appreciated in Houston. He walked a lot. People didn't understand how badly the Astrodome just held down offense, and I don't miss that place, man. It was just like a wine cellar. You couldn't see anything. I don't know how anybody ever hit Nolan Ryan in that place, but. So when you're tossing around names like Joe Morgan, acknowledged is probably the best second baseman in history, and Ricky Henderson, the best leadoff hitter in history. Acuña's in fast company, and you talked about Ohtani earlier. I mean, a lot of the awards, we'll get to the awards later. A lot of the awards are going to be interesting. The only thing that stops Acuña or Ohtani from winning MVP is an injury. In fact, I even think Ohtani, we don't think he's going to get traded. Even if he did get traded out of the American League, I still think he would win the MVP.
Yeah, that is the ironic part of that, for sure. Interesting part about the stolen base numbers here. So no players reached 70 steals since Jacoby Ellsbury in 2009. So I mean, that really puts in perspective how the game changed in that interim 12, 13 years. Speed just completely fell off the map. Nobody's even stolen 50 bases since 2017. So
crazy.
He's just 9 stolen bases away from that as it stands right now. So Shohei Ohtani, he does currently lead the majors in home runs right now. He's 32 home runs through 89 games, 15 home runs in June, as 2 so far in this brief time we've had in July, any chance that Ohtani can get to 60? He's currently on pace, I believe, in like the high 50s. I would say no, but
I'm feeling 53, 54, 55, something like that. You just wonder at what point does the weight of everything he's asked to do in Anaheim, plus just the trade deadline hanging over his head, the contract stuff hanging over his head, the same questions he's asked city to city, and maybe playing out the string with an Angels team in September that isn't really in contention. I just wonder if that takes a little bit of a toll on Ohtani, but he's going to sail past 50. And as we talked about, the MVP is already on his mantle. And I don't have any Ohtani anywhere. You have to appreciate when somebody does something, when somebody turns into a player that you can't compare to anybody else. It's just, you have to appreciate it. And it never bothers me. Like if I'm in a head-to-head game and Ohtani's crushing me, it's like, well, it's just fun to see the best players doing their thing.